Two people, one virus, two very different experiences. I'm Kirsten Holmes. We'll tell you about one couple's battle with COVID.
Thousands of at-home COVID tests distributed to families in San Ysidro.
And can children suffer from long COVID after a coronavirus infection? We verified.
Right on the Pacific Highway in Encinitas this Sunday at their Ciclovia event.
His nonprofit organization grew up, but so did he. And now a San Diego teenager needs someone to help the homeless when he heads off to college.
News 8 at 6 starts now.
Families, friends, and couples across the country and right here in San Diego are finding out that one person's COVID experience may be very different from others. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
I'm Marcella Lee. The list of common symptoms for the Omicron variant includes having a sore throat, body aches, and fatigue. But as News 8's Kirsten Holmes found out, it can hit everyone differently.
2 years into the pandemic, and we are still learning seemingly every day about the novel coronavirus. But for one couple we talked to, not only are they still learning about each other, but they got to do that while learning about coronavirus themselves.
We always change the story of how we met to make it interesting, but we met on Bumble.
Matt McDonald and Darcy Johnson have been together for 6 months, and their relationship, which started in the middle of a health pandemic, finally had to face that pandemic head on.
He messaged me saying, you know, I have a bit of a tickle in my throat, like I'm not feeling that great, but probably be fine. And I was like, you know, it's funny, I'm feeling the same way, but I just kind of chalked it up to the holidays. Like that day and the next 2 days, he was just down for the count. He was so sick.
Darcy took Matt to urgent care where doctors first tested for strep throat because of Matt's symptoms. Turns out it was COVID-19. And the young couple was surprised.
It's funny, actually, we were both sitting, like sharing a chair together, and then the doctor came out and was like, so you had COVID, and I just shot up immediately as if I wasn't going to get it at that point.
So they isolated. Darcy didn't feel bad yet, but as Matt started feeling better, she started feeling worse.
Your body's achy, I had a little bit of a sore throat, all the things, but it doesn't, like day after day, it just wasn't turning into what he had. I had like headache, back pain, neck pain. But it seems lame, but the worst thing of all of it has just been, I've been so depleted and so exhausted.
Matt says in comparison to Darcy, his symptoms were indeed worse.
And very painful to swallow, very painful to cough, difficult to talk. And then in addition to that, there was just extreme fatigue and I had body aches as well.
Dr. Argentina Servin is an assistant professor at UCSD. She says COVID-19 presenting differently in patients is pretty common. Here's why.
And it's not surprising because we are different, right? And so our immune responses will be different.
And Darcy says she was just happy that she could be there for Matt when he needed her. Kirsten Holmes, News 8.
Right, Kirsten, thanks. While many students went back to class this week, some around the county are still on winter break right now and don't return to class until next week, Monday. But
in order to slow the spread of COVID, testing needs to be readily available for anyone learning or working in schools. That's been a challenge. News 8's Tim Blodgett has more on what one South Bay school district is doing to keep parents and kids safe before school starts on Monday.
Here. These are the instructions.
It's been an interesting winter break for the parents and students in the San Ysidro School District. A lot has changed since they left school on December 19th. The Omicron variant has surged throughout California, and at-home tests have been extremely hard to come by. Case rates in the South Bay are higher than most places in the county.
Buenos días. Aquí vienen dos.
So with K through 12 schools in the district planning to come back for in-person classes on Monday, something needed to be done to make sure students aren't bringing the virus into the classroom.
Today we're distributing home tests to all of our families so they can test their students on Monday to return to school on Tuesday. We've had an extra long winter break, so we're excited to get these tests in time to get them to our families.
David Farkas, the assistant superintendent at San Ysidro Schools, is one of the many volunteers handing out rapid COVID tests to the line of cars winding behind San Ysidro Middle School. The state of California providing 4,500 tests to the district, enough for every student, teacher, and staff member.
Guidance is changing often, and we're staying ahead of it, just like the rest of our county schools are, working together to make sure our schools remain open, because we've seen it firsthand how important it is to have our students together in school.
The district currently has weekly testing available for all those who work or learn in its schools. An at-home test, just another layer of safety before classes resume Monday.
Las instrucciones lo hacen el día lunes.
From food distribution to COVID tests, Farkas has been in these drive-through lines many times throughout the pandemic. He's seen his border community step up in a real way, making sure families get the support they need and students able to get the education they deserve.
Look behind us and look at what we're seeing today. Everybody takes care of each other in this community. They look out for their schools and for their neighbors.
With photojournalist Julio Vasquez, Tim Blodgett, News 8.
Thanks, Tim. Today, the Supreme Court heard challenges to 2 Biden administration vaccine rules.
One requires the vaccine or weekly testing for private businesses with 100 or more employees. The other mandates vaccinations for healthcare workers at facilities that receive Medicare or Medicaid money. At the heart of the legal battle is whether the administration has overstepped its authority in its efforts to combat the pandemic.
Tell me what's irrational about rules of that nature when it is the workplace that puts you into contact with people that will put you at risk.
It appears that the federal government is going agency by agency as a workaround to its inability to get Congress to act.
If the Biden administration's rule for private companies stands, OSHA is expected to begin issuing citations in early February.
Maya Miliete disappeared from her home in Chula Vista 1 year ago today.
Her husband is charged with murder, but the mother of 3 still has not been found.
CBS 8's David Gottfredson spoke to Maya's family members about their ongoing search to find her remains.
12 months of searching.
We couldn't be here today without your love and support and prayers.
And keeping their sister's case in the public spotlight. But Maya Miliete still has not been found.
We are still looking for my sister. It's been a year. We still want to bring her home.
Maya's sister and brother-in-law, Mary Chris and Richard Droulet, remember the day Maya did not come home.
That denial that, she's not missing, she'll come home.
Going to Maya's house in Chula Vista and watching the door.
And hoping she'll walk in, she'll walk in and come back and everything be okay. But that never happened.
On the weekend she missed her oldest daughter's birthday.
After the end of the day on that Sunday, it's her daughter's birthday, and we got a cake for her. And we were singing happy birthday for her. And we were trying to be happy for her daughter, but at the same time, so worried that she's not walking in that door.
You can see the pain and fatigue in their faces 1 year later, but there has been progress. The family won court-ordered visitation with Maya's 3 children.
They do smile and they do play around and joke around with us.
At least we are grateful that we are able to be with them, every weekend and be able to show how much we love them and how much we miss them.
And there is still hope Maya will be found in the desert. The most recent search by volunteers using drones equipped with ground-penetrating radar. The images from the Glamis sand dunes are still being analyzed.
And also ask the desert community to keep an eye out. It's riding season and it's cooler, so that there's a lot more Jeep groups out there.
And 1 year later, there is still community support.
We are still looking for my sister. We are still asking the public for help.
Tomorrow afternoon, there will be a prayer vigil at Chula Vista Community Park on East Lake Parkway. The event starts at 4 p.m. with a musical performance. We've posted more information at CBS8.com.
David, we can only imagine what the family is going through still with that part of this story still unresolved. No body. We don't know what happened to Maya. But there is a legal case going on right now. What's happening with Larry Miliete's criminal case?
Larry Miliete is still in jail being held with no bond. His next court hearing is a readiness conference set for February 28th in Chula Vista Court.
1 year since Maya Miliete disappeared. David Gottfredson reporting. Thanks, David.
A transient accused of killing a man on New Year's Day by pushing him into the path of an oncoming train in Old Town has pleaded not guilty to a murder charge. Ryan Roxtelis is accused of killing Santee resident Martin Ndara. Prosecutors say it was a random and unprovoked attack, and the 68-year-old victim was simply on his way to work that morning. He had just stepped off a trolley when he was pushed. Roxtelis was arrested 3 days later, and he is being held without bail. A former San Diego sheriff's deputy charged in the shooting death of an unarmed man downtown has changed his plea to guilty. It happened back in May of 2020 when 36-year-old Nicholas Bills escaped from a state park's patrol car. Aaron Russell shot Bills 4 times as he ran away on Front Street, killing him. Russell was set to go to trial on a murder charge later this month, but in this plea deal, the charge against him has been reduced to voluntary manslaughter. He faces up to 11 years in prison when he is sentenced next month.
An arrest warrant has been issued for the father who brought his 2-year-old into the elephant enclosure at the San Diego Zoo. This comes after Jose Navarrete failed to appear for a scheduled court hearing. You remember this video from last March showing Navarrete running with his daughter in hand as the elephant rushes him from behind. It appeared he was in there to take a selfie with the elephant. Navarrete previously pleaded not guilty to child endangerment charges. A heads up if you plan to take the coaster this weekend, the San Diego stretch will be closed. Crews are doing routine maintenance tomorrow and Sunday. So all coastal rail line service will be suspended between the Oceanside and Transit Center and the Santa Fe Depot. Regular service will resume Monday, but there may be delays.